What's up, everybody? It's your boy Wall Street Pete. We're over here another episode of the Dragon's Lair. I'm hosting this one live from St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands. You know, I'm out here for a bit, so this is where we're going to cover. It. I have a very important guest I want to bring you guys on. My man Wally Bressler. Wally is a tremendous guy, very knowledgeable, and he has one hell of a story to tell, man. Some of the stuff I've gathered from him, I have some good questions to ask. I think he's going to bring a lot of insight and a lot of value to you folks out there that are, you know, just trying to get into becoming entrepreneurs and kind of looking at which direction you want to run. So, Wally, introduce yourself, man.
Yeah,
pleasure to have you
here. Hey, man, good to be here. You know, Pete and I have started to cultivate a great friendship, and I'm learning as much from him as he is from me. As you know, probably more from him. He doesn't know that, and I am not in the U.S. Virgin Islands, as you can tell. So, anyway, my name is Wally Bressler. I've been in the real estate industry for 25 years. You know, I've worked with real estate agents in the United States and Canada, coaching them probably 22 of those 25 years. I've conducted about 40,000 live trainings, one-on-one coaching calls, and presentations over that period of time. I had the good fortune of publishing my first book last September. And excuse me, I was asked to co-author another book called How to Make Your First Six Figures in Real Estate, which I'm excited about. That's coming out in June, I think. And last November, I was fortunate enough to be on a TV show called Times Square Today. In Times Square, it's a show about experts that talk about their field of expertise. And so So I talked about, you know, what it takes to become successful when you've had a really, really tough life, when you've had some challenges, and how to overcome those things so that you can create the life that you want. You know, Pete and I have overcome a lot of challenges in our life, both of us. And I think that's maybe why we connected so well, because we faced some tough stuff and, you know, we've come out on top. And so, you know, that's actually part of my story. So, and today I work with real estate agents, salespeople, entrepreneurs, again, all over the United States and Canada. I do help them with their business, but I'm really spending my time right now helping people get clear on why they can't achieve the life that they want, so they can go ahead and do the things they need to do to make that happen.
Great, Wally. Great. Listen, man, I'm very excited to have you here, bro. You know, you've become
excited to be here, man.
You've become a friend of mine over the past, you know, I want to say month and a half that I've known you. It hasn't been that long. You're like me, you know, you move fast. One thing I want to point out, and again, congratulations. Wally is one of my MCA brokers.
Thank you.
He seen the program.
I am.
He understood the value and the opportunity that was at his feet, and he picked it up and he's running to the end zone with it right now. And this isn't a paid endorsement, by the way. Can I just real quickly? This is not a paid endorsement. In fact, I'm a paying customer. Just so you know, I'm a paying customer. I see the value, but this is probably the best opportunity. For my trip over here to the Virgin Islands, man.
Thank you. Can you bring me back a t-shirt, please? I want a t-shirt, please. No, but here's the thing, and I think this is the most important thing. I am a paying customer, but here's the thing. I realize the value because, you know, this is probably the second best time since the Great Recession. You know what I'm saying? That for these type of an opportunity, people need this kind of help, you know? And if you think about it, it was actually created in a recession. MCAs were created in the double dip recession of the 90s, right in the 90s right around the Gulf War. So, I mean, every time this type of economy happens, these opportunities are great. So if you're following Pete and you're watching his podcast and taking advantage of it, man, go to mcabrokerbootcamp.com and sign up. He's made it to the fact you can do it for like short money. And, you know, I'm confident that you'll be able to make money with this thing before you even, you know, finish paying off the end of your time with him. So it's amazing. Go check it out.
Wally, I appreciate that more than you know, brother. So
Yes, sir.
Tell everybody, you were hosted on the TV show, right? You were on a TV show at some point. Tell us about that.
Yep. Yeah. So you know, there's a company out there called Celebrity Branding, and you know, they work with people to help them grow their brand. And you know, they offered an opportunity to be interviewed in Times Square, and it was at the Hard Rock Cafe. And the Hard Rock Cafe on the second floor has a big like veranda or deck overlooking Times Square, and the Rolling Stones have been on there. Supposedly tons of famous bands have been on there. and I had the opportunity to get interviewed by 27-time Emmy Award winning interview expert. They call him basically America's best storyteller. His name's Nick Nanton. And I was able to get interviewed by him. And it's amazing because he's interviewed Tony Robbins, Peter Diamandis, Larry King. I mean, he's interviewed some of the most famous people on the face of the planet. And I had the good fortune of being interviewed by him. And, we spent time talking about, what causes people so much trouble, where the pain comes from, that they can't pick up a phone and make phone calls, that they can't get in front of a video camera to go ahead and make videos, that they can't, take a call down the path they need to. And by the time the first objection comes up, they jump off the phone, or why they procrastinate, or why they're perfectionists, or any other reason that keeps them from achieving the business in life that they want. And so I was able to do that. You can find it online. It's Wally Bressler Times Square today. It's on my my page. You can, there's lots of places if you want to see the interview. It's great. In fact, if you just Google Nick Nanton Times Square today, you can see interviews with all kinds of amazing experts from the United States. In fact, for that matter, from around the world.
Nice, bro. Congratulations, man. I tell you.
Thank you.
That's a big one, bro.
Thank you.
This is,
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Big. Getting in front of the public and letting these people know who you are. It's very important to build your brand. I always say this to everybody. Your personal brand is your calling card. Try and build it as best as you can
100%.
and try to stand behind what you say. That's
100%. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So Wally, let me.
And in today's environment.
Go ahead. Wally.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry about that.
Nah, brother, no
in today's all right. So in today's market environment, it's one of these things. You can't rely just on your brand to get you business, but you need a good brand to help you get business. You know what I'm saying? You need to be on social media. People need to be able to find you. And the other thing is you've got to have a story, and you also need to be able to show people that you can solve their problem faster, easier, cheaper than anybody else, or whatever it is, to help them get the results they want. People are looking at you. They're looking at me. Some people are going to look at you and say, Wall Street Pete's my guy. Some people are going to look at me like Wally's my guy. Some people look at us and, those guys look like knuckleheads, which, okay. But the whole point is, you need social media, you need a brand, but because you want people to find out about you and align with you, but that's not the only thing you need. You need to be an expert, and you need to be able to deliver on your promise too. Thanks. I just want to finish that thought. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem, Wally. You're here to talk, brother. We want to get to know Wally, bro. Everybody knows.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Know Wall Street Pete. We want to get to know you, brother. So tell everybody about. So tell everybody about how you got started in the real estate industry.
Mm-hmm. I still remember the day, actually. It was 1990. It was early 1998, probably spring of 1998. And I'd been working in the mutual fund industry for about 8 years at this point. And, corporate America was grinding on me. And, I really wanted to go to the next level and become an external wholesaler and get a territory. And so we had these presentation contests. And I really worked hard, like the hardest I ever worked on a presentation contest. I know I did well. Everybody in the room knew I did well, but I ended up coming in third. Corporate America has lots of favoritism. I'm not saying it was perfect, but I really thought I was going to do better than that. It pissed me off. And so I called the guy who became my mentor. Yeah, I did. It pissed me off, man. I'm like, you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But, it was
effort and energy. And then you're like, man, yep. I know I had that, but it was taken.
Yeah.
It's a bad feeling. I get it. I know.
It is a bad film. It is a bad film, but I'm sure you do, right? But so it was what I needed, because what I did is I got out of that day I called who was my mentor, and I said, hey, can I come see you? He goes, yeah, I'm painting my deck. So I drove from where I lived to where he lived. It was probably an hour. And I walked out to his backyard, and it was a beautiful spring day. He was painting his deck. And I said, why? And he ended up marrying who at the time was my best friend. So I'd known him for a while. So why are you a real estate agent? He goes, well, what did you do today? I said, I got to work at 7. I called all day. I did a presentation contest where I came in third. I got pissed. And then I called you. I go, what'd you do? He goes, oh, I had 2 closings. I wasn't at both of them, and the checks were on my desk when I got back. I drove my motorcycle out to the coast to have lunch, and I've been painting my deck. I'm like, sign me up. And so that was the day. And literally back then,
like the scene in Wolf of Wall Street where the guy was in the
Literally, right?
he was in the
Buddy.
restaurant and he said, "Show me $70-something thousand, and I quit my job."
That's right. That's right. You show me you made $70,000. I quit my job right now. Exactly, right. So, but to your point, it wasn't that. What's that?
No, I said, that was that kind of moment.
Yeah, right. Yeah, literally. And it wasn't that. And he was making really good money anyway. And I would listen. I was at the time I was 28. I was making over $100,000 a year. I mean, I was doing well. You know what I'm saying? By most people's standards. You know, this is back in 1998. This is 25 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I was making over 100 grand back then. I was excited. I was doing well, but it wasn't working for me. And so I took 2 weeks off from work the next week. I read the entire real estate book from cover to cover, took a bunch of practice exams, went back to work the third weekend, took the crash course, took the test, and I had my license. And I left the mutual fund industry in August of 1998.
Oh,
so,
man. You've been in a long time.
Yeah. I sold 72 houses my first 14 months in the business and never looked back.
Well, congratulations, Wally. You've been doing
Thanks,
this
buddy.
a long
Thank
time,
you.
brother. It's well due. You know, it's time. It's
Agreed.
time for the benefits. You know, we plant seeds, and it's time to reap what we sow. So,
Agreed.
Listen, I love your attitude, bro. Your positivity, the energy is just. I'm telling you, it's the kind of energy I like around me. And
yes, sir.
This is why
you have the same energy. You've got the same energy.
Yeah, because again, you have the same kind of energy, and I love it because it's like, you know, you want to help people. You understand the value in helping people is going to help you in the long run.
But not looking for anything back at the time, though.
No, sometimes it's just, you know, hey, I'm going to introduce you to this one or this connection or that connection. But then a deal comes around later, and it's like, wow, this deal would have never been manifested had those two not have met. And it's, you know, for me, I always say everything comes full circle out here in the world. And with you, I mean, just the way that you do things, you're very detail oriented. I see you always got a book schedule. Like literally, it's like pulling teeth to get you on a call. I mean, you're like a doctor or a dentist, bro. Yeah. And that's good. You know, it's good to stay busy. Let me ask you a question. Yeah. What would you tell the guys about artificial intelligence? How is it leading the way for, you know, the future of just everything, all industry?
You know, it's funny. I get asked that question a lot. And so here's the thing. You know, I think it was April of 1995. You know, internet hits the ground for the public and largest, really when it really started to go viral and take off. And I remember, you know, reading that year, a couple of years later, you know, you're never going to buy anything face to face. You're never going to talk to somebody. You're going to buy everything over the internet, right? And they predicted the fall of every business. And, you know, there were certain industries that did get hit. You know, the travel industry mangled, insurance industry mangled. You know, the legal industry, not completely mangled, but got hit. But there's lots of industries that, you know, got cleaned out because of the internet. And you do a lot more of it over the internet than you do face to face, right? So, which is fine. And now they're saying AI is going to take everybody's job. And you know what? AI is going to take some people's jobs for sure, right? Because it is amazing as what it's going for what it can do. You know, it's you know, and so the fact of the matter is it's going to take some jobs, but for other than that, but it's going to enhance lots of people's jobs. Right? Think about having something that will start a conversation, maintain a conversation with somebody via text or email until they're ready. They're ready to talk to you. Right? The hardest thing and the things that most salespeople complain about is they don't like to prospect. They don't like to nurture leads. Right? But that is the most important job of a salesperson. And we've talked about this before. You're like, hey, I talked to somebody today. They may not do business with me, but then I stay in touch with them. The next thing you know, I'm 2 months down the road. They need me. They know me. They're there, right? So AI is going to be great for that. It's going to help people who don't know how to market. It's going to help people who don't want to build relationships, at least initially, build relationships. It's going to have huge impacts on business, but I don't see that I don't see that it's going to take certain industries away. I don't think it's going to take away your industry. I don't think it's going to take away my industry. Like a business owner is going to go ahead and talk with a computer about, you know, getting a couple $100,000 funding for its business and do all of that over, you know.
I tell you, Wally, you'll be surprised, but they will. Yes, because
okay, I stand corrected.
Most of these business owners already know our product. So they don't really need to know anything except how much is it going to cost me and how long is the term going to be, and how much are you giving me? So with that,
let me take
the initial process of reaching the customer, collecting the documents, presenting him with the offer, that can be done by automation. Now, selling the deal needs to be done by a skilled salesman, unless it's one of those lay down calls where the customer doesn't care, he just needs the cash in his account, which do come across, which great, AI can take up for that. But 90% of the deals got to be closed by a closer, somebody that cultivates that relation.
Thank you.
You're right.
All right, and I guess you were more clear than I was, but I appreciate that. And you know, if I'm comfortable with the MCA business and what I'm doing, I probably can do 100% AI. You know what I'm saying? That makes complete sense that I can just do that. But you know, the fact of the matter is if I'm getting 100 and I got to give you back 125, 150K, you know, I if I've never done it before, for sure, I'm not just going to go ahead and, you know what I'm saying? I could be taking money from, you know, from some Russian consulate that, you know, beats children or something, you know what I'm saying? So
you're right. That is 100% right. You know, these people want to know who they're doing business with. But once you get a customer that's in our industry, you know, you can get AI to do a lot of the work for you. You can have automation, like really get that ball all the way down the field, at least in field goal range. You know, if you're getting deals on your desk that are all approvals, what does it matter that you cut a deal and you give them a less commission and take a less commission? You just care about closing the deal. You didn't invest no time in that. It's different when you
right on
the phone and then you spend time collecting docs and time reaching and following up. You want to make that full commission because you invested a lot of energy. But when you're doing all of this automation, I got to tell you, man, it's like this automation is doing everything for us. Where it's reaching.
I don't disagree.
Collecting the docs.
And I
collecting the money.
Right. No, I agree, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But I guess to your point though, like it's going to enhance just about every business, but there's going to be certain industries and certain parts of every industry that aren't going to be handled by AI.
Yeah, 100%, brother. You're right. It was a little more in depth I was going, but you're right. There's always going to need.
I mean, we're saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing
of human element. I mean, again, people they know they're paying expensive money. They want to at least feel that they're benefiting from it. I'm getting a consultant. I'm getting somebody to talk to me and kind of help me along and guide me on the right path. So the human element is definitely there. Hey, Wally, let me ask you a question for everybody. When you were coming up in the industry, you know, in the real estate business, what are some obstacles that you faced that you had to overcome? And if you weren't who you were and so determined, that you might have thrown the towel on these things?
You know, great question. You know, technology wasn't anything like it is today. You know, they were just coming out with real estate websites. You know what I'm saying? They were, hold on a second. We'll start that over. Just tell them at the 18-minute mark, they got to check to cut it together. Okay.
No problem. Well, they'll probably they'll probably just put you on the full screen at that time. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. Either way, but the whole point is like they'll probably they may just trim it out too. Who knows? So let's go back. Okay, yeah. So it's a great question. You know, when I got into business in 1998, you know, internet was just really starting to take off in the real estate industry. You could get a web page. You know, lead generation at that time was still very much driven through the newspaper, through classified ads. They had just started doing some phone trees where people could call in and get information. And so, you know, being able to pick up the phone at that time was huge, right? People just couldn't go online and look up all the information they wanted and submit requests through the internet like they can today. Does that make sense? So, you know, my willingness to get on the phone and willingness to prospect and learn everything I needed to learn really made a difference in my ability to help people buy and sell houses and succeed, you know, very well in a short period of time. I would say that's probably the biggest difference or the biggest advantage for me back then was, you know, my perseverance, my willingness to work through it. And you know, I think the other thing is, adapters and adapters, they're the ones that survive, you know,
That's right.
willing to.
I tell you,
right. I was willing to take
survive, brother.
Go ahead.
You gotta be like water, always constantly moving and shifting with the sands.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's you. You are the ultimate water because you are always shifting and moving. So without question, you call this guy any time of the day, answer his phone. He's always doing something. It's hilarious. But yeah, so I was willing to adapt and adopt and change what I did with what was happening with the market, and it explains my longevity as an agent and my ability to be successful in coaching people today.
I tell you, Wally, man, it's really, really a pleasure to have you here. These guys don't even know.
Likewise, brother. Yeah.
They don't know how much knowledge that you have. I'm just tipping the iceberg because I speak to you when there's a lot of things that I don't know. Because again, as entrepreneurs, we kind of go with this stuff, banging our heads into the wall until we bust through it, and then we get another wall, and we got to bang our heads into the wall, and we keep going. I'm banging my head into the wall with AI right now because I see the benefits, and I have guys that put the systems in place for us. But I'm trying to learn this myself. So once I learn it, I can teach my kids and I can have them implement it because that's, for me, again, that's the future I'm seeing where one bot is going to do the work of 150 salespeople. It's going to make no more need to deal with people's attitudes and people's entitledness because I'm at a point where I'm fed up with the entitled people around me trying to say, oh, I'm entitled to this because, and I'm like, you're entitled to nothing because I'm entitled to it. I got to go out and I got to put that work in every day. So do you. And for you to sit here and act like because I make money that I have to, whatever, it makes me look at a different way from you. So I step back from those kind of situations because it gets me very angry. I want to see people win, but in order for people to win, they need to believe in themselves and they need to be putting in that work. They got to take life serious, so.
Yep. 100%.
Again, with you, brother, like just the way I see how you move, I'm like, man, I like this guy. This is a guy after my own taste because you move around the way I move around. Like, brother, you're at the desk all day in front of your computer. I'm zipping and zooming, but I'm always on the phone. I'm always making plays. I don't care if I'm driving, if it's a Saturday, if it's a Sunday, if I just woke up, 8 a.m., 11 p.m. I'm in St. Thomas. What am I doing? I'm working. I'm making moves. Okay, I'm getting some good content for my podcast. My viewers get to see it's real. Like, I'm not just sitting in my office all day on Wall Street. I have an office that's fully functioning because of certain people that we've put into place that are able to kind of carry that.
Being a place to work. Yeah.
And we make it a very good place for people to come in a good, strong environment. But the problem is still the entitlement. People come into my office for interviews and they act like I owe them something. And I'm like, guys, I hear you and I understand. But that kind of thinking is the wrong type of programming being done to your human supercomputer because you're downloading all of this bad information and then you're applying that into the real world. I'm on Wall Street where at any given desk on any given day, somebody can hit the next $1 million whale. That's just a fact. If you think that in itself is not a blessing enough that you came on my floor and I opened the door for you and I said, there's a seat with your name on it, the systems, the leads, the technology, the assistance with my managers, the training, if you're telling me that that's not for you to be grateful and say, oh my God, what do I got to do? Because I didn't have that. I had to build that from scratch. So for a guy who's built that from scratch, I look at that as a spit in my hand because
right on.
You're coming to me like, oh, well, you did all of the hard work. I'm not going to do any of it. And I'm entitled to whatever. And that's like, no, you're not in my world.
at least not on my watch, not on my stuff. Yeah.
That's a big thing that I push and I tell everybody. And again, a lot of people like I tell you all the time, I have high turnover rates in my industry. It's because people want that right now whale. I didn't learn the business. I don't know anything. I'm going to make my 3 phone calls today and I better hit the whale and he better pull his pants down and let me close him in 2 seconds or I quit. This is what I get a lot of. And it's a little frustrating because, you get the people, they're like, yo, there's always so many opportunities. And I'm like, yeah, talk to me in a year. Talk to me in 2 years. Tell me how those opportunities 2 years ago were, because I'm still going to be here pushing forward in my direction. So, Wally, listen, let me ask you a question. Tell us about your book. I know you published a book. Tell everybody about the book.
Yeah.
And
thank you. Yeah, so it's on Amazon. It's called Tragic Hero. It's kind of like part personal development book, part memoir. I had a tough childhood, and it sent me on a path of self-destruction. I spent the better part of 4 decades addicted to pornography, sex, food, and money, and it derailed my life pretty considerably. Despite that I was achieving at a high level, behind the scenes in my brain and my life, things were pretty much a train wreck, you know what I'm saying? And so it got pretty bad and, led to me making some really, really bad decisions to the point where I wanted to take my own life. I fortunately did not, but it was really, it was kind of it was like, basically I ended up, after making a truckload of bad decisions, I met a woman in 2015, really wanted to have a great relationship with her, super toxic, but I had never had a good relationship with a woman and I was committed to making it work. And we were together for 4.5 years and, we were engaged to be married and she just would not move down to Texas from where she was. And so I broke up with her. And 3 days later, I was talking to her sister and I found out that she had lied to me about everything, including the fact that she was still married the entire time we were together.
Oh,
Man.
So, yeah. And she lives in another state, so it made it easier for – what's that?
So you can't trust these chicks, man. Some of these girls.
No, it was tough, man. It was tough. It was tough.
They got more game than pimps. I'll tell you.
It was tough. It was tough. And so I just, after, 40 plus years of just making bad decision after bad decision and squandering millions of dollars and just living a life of sadness and unhappiness, I really, a month later, I sat down and I'm like thinking about how am I going to kill myself? And, I didn't, thank goodness. But it was horrible, a little conversation with God sent me in the right direction. And then, the book is really how I pulled myself out of all that. So it talks about how I got to where I was and then how I was able to pull myself out of all that and create a life, really at the age of 50 that I wanted to live many years ago, but how I overcame 40 plus years of self-sabotage and pain and being miserable. So that's pretty much what it's about.
Brother, that was amazing. That's an amazing story of triumph over adversity. And I love to show my guys because you don't know how many people are actually on the verge of contemplating suicide. That your story may have just touched somebody in a way where they said, yo, it may not be that bad. And I always tell people, do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow, do it tomorrow. And tomorrow, do it tomorrow. And if a week goes by and you're not, feeling any different, give it another week.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep pushing forward. Set small milestones tomorrow until you can set bigger ones next week, next month, next year.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you're going to say, you know what, that wasn't that bad. And I overcame that. And again, at the end of the day, it's just a remarkable story of how you overcame this. And I hope that this touches somebody and really changes their trajectory of their life.
I appreciate that. To build on what you just said, it's, we've all had trials and tribulations. You've overcome some tough stuff. I've overcome some tough stuff, and, it doesn't happen. It happens incrementally, right? It happens day over day. For most people, it doesn't happen in one fell swoop, right? But the fact that it didn't happen in one fell swoop also means you're not going to get out of it in one fell swoop, right? There's not, some sort of amazing, you're not going to wake up tomorrow with the lottery win in most cases. You're not going to wake up tomorrow with that whale, right? You're not going to wake up tomorrow and that amazing, wonderful person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with shows up. It doesn't happen like that. You got to claw and scratch your way back. I think Zig Ziglar said it best. He said this, the elevator to the top is broken. He says, you got to take the stairs. And I 100% agree with that.
I tell everybody I climbed out of hell on more than one occasion. So for everything that I've come to take, in life, I feel rightfully earned. Now, again, I've made a ton of poor choices in life, but life is full of choices, and some of them are going to be good and some of them are going to be bad. There is no person walking the earth that has not made a poor choice at some point in their existence. It's just human nature. So I don't get too hard on myself. I congratulate myself more on what I've been pushed myself and climbed out of than actually what happens to me. I say, these kind of things happen to people, but at the end of the day, I'm lucky because it didn't happen that bad. It could have been worse. I give you a perfect example. When I was driving my Escalade, I was being driven in my Escalade a couple of weeks back on Super Bowl Sunday, of this year that just passed. I mean, this Super Bowl that just passed. I'm driving down the Cross Bronx Expressway. My buddy's driving me, and, it's a nice brand new Escalade, and he wanted to drive, and my driver was off the day. So I said, yeah, you can drive it, no problem. So we went and dropped his wife off in the Bronx, and he was driving me back to my house. And we were crossing Jerome Ave, and some kids were standing on the overpass throwing bricks down on cars that are flying. Now, this could have killed me. They were trying to hit my sunroof on the Escalade because it has a huge sunroof. Thinking that it's funny, not realizing that I was in the back seat, and if that brick would have went through the windshield, it would have landed in my lap or in my head. So thank God, I'm very fortunate and lucky that it hit the roof rack, the rail, and it deflected it. Then it hit my roof, but it missed the windshield. I mean, the sunroof. So there's a big gash in the roof of my truck, right over where my head was. And I always say that, I'm very fortunate. I don't look and say, oh my God, my roof is messed up. I laugh and say, hey, I'll have gladly paid a couple $100 to fix that roof. That roof saved me. It protected me. I don't even think about, oh my God, I got to pay for the roof. I think, thank God that it protected me. Thank God that that's all that it cost me. Not months in surgery or possibly worse, because, things happen out of nowhere. I mean, we were just driving down the road doing about 50, and all I hear is bam, bam, bam. And I knew something hit the car, and I just said, stay still. My guy was like, what's that? I said, just focus. Just keep driving. We'll deal with it later. And then we pulled off, and I looked. I thought it was the side of the car that maybe somebody hit me. And when I looked up, I looked all over the car. I didn't see nothing. I said, let me climb up on the roof. Sure enough, I seen it when I got up there, and I was like, okay, now that all makes sense. These guys are up top throwing bricks down. They hit the car.
There's so many stories of people getting killed by that,
Yeah, so
terrible.
Now,
well, thank God you're okay.
And now I'm more aware. Now every time I go to overpasses, I look up. And this also was like a shot in my arm to tell me, why are you got a driver? Drive yourself. I don't believe that would have happened when I drive, because I'm very alert. I don't play around. I'm a very defensive driver. I'm watching my mirrors. I'm watching the cameras in the back. I'm watching the front. I am all over. I don't really look at my phone. I wear my seatbelt and I don't speed. So for me, I feel like I'm the most comfortable person driving. This is why I don't really love to fly, because I don't have control over that plane. I don't mind private, because God forbid something happens, at least I know I have a chance to try and take control of the aircraft. Do I know how to land it? No. Do I believe that I would rather take a chance and have them try and walk me through rather than not being able to open that with a crowbar? Because on those commercial flights, you can't open the door with a crowbar. Once the captain's in there, it's over. He's locked in. So I tell you, that's one thing about me. I don't really get too comfortable flying commercial. And it's just, again, about the control issue.
It's funny, you just thinking about other people think, just processing how other people think. I would never have thought of that, but it makes complete sense, Yeah,
listen, at the end of the day, my friend tells me, yeah, my buddy owned his own private jet and he used to carry a parachute on it. And I used to laugh at him. And I said, why would you laugh at him? That sounds like the kind of thing that I would do. I would want one for me and all my guests and my family and everybody. I want enough parachutes on there. Listen, again, if it happens, probably not going to have a chance to get anything situated. Probably not going to be able to open the door because, you know, they might start dropping and you're on the ceiling. But at least it gives me some comfort to know that I got a chance. You know,
A fighting
now,
chance,
at least it's on me. I didn't perform like James Bond, but at the end of the day, I have a chance.
So, yeah, no. Hey, listen, I've always thought that they should put a ginormous parachute on the back of a plane, and anytime it goes down, you know, I think the parachute itself would probably cost millions. I mean, weigh tons.
I tell you that would be like a phenomenal feature. I seen a video on that. You wouldn't believe it, but I saw a video on that on TikTok, and it was like,
I believe it,
showing stuff that they're working on. And I said, man, that kind of thing, even if it can just slow the speed down of that big projectile falling, you can, if they can release it right, it can land on water. I mean, you got a chance of survivors. Them planes up there go wrong, man. Oh God, it's tough. So.
Yeah, I just it's, you know, I agree 100%, man. Listen, we all have control issues, brother. It's the way life is. You know what I'm saying? Nobody likes to be out of control.
Do I tell you, my wife, she can sit there and she can sit right on the plane in the third row. Like my kids sit, we get, you know, the plane's got 3 seats. Usually we're on like the 737s, the 757s, or the JetBlues, the Airbuses. So they got the 3 rows. I always get a window seat because I got to be watching the wing. I got to keep my eye on the wing. That's all I got to tell you.
I got you. Hey, I'm an aisle guy. Yeah, I've just resolved. Go ahead. Sorry.
My kids switched the window. One goes on the trip there, and then one gets it on the way back. And my wife sits in the aisle seat. And it's like, no problem, no question. She just turns on a movie, and it's like she's getting on a train. Me, I'm like, I got to watch this wing. I got to make sure that nothing happens.
White knuckle the whole way.
Oh, man, I tell you, while I sit up in that air, I like the view. I take pictures, but the whole time I'm always going to be uncomfortable. You're never, ever going to get me where I'm like, let's just sit around and fly all day. I'm like, listen, let's get where we got to go. Push that thing faster. Let's go.
Yeah, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, I fall asleep 9 times out of 10. I usually fall asleep by the time the plane hits 30,000 feet. I'm usually out cold, but that's different for everybody, you know.
I can't, bro. I gotta eat a gummy, and I gotta have 2 shots as soon as it lifts off. I take 2 shots real quick. I don't know why, but it just settles my.
Hey, you know what? As long as it gets you there and you're cool, who cares?
Yeah, I tell you that you see some peculiar people on these airplanes. I tell you a story, man. There was one guy, he started arguing with people, almost got into a fight. They removed him from the plane. I'm just like, man, can't you just
really?
Out? Yeah, I'm like, you know, people get loud, they get ego, and I'm just like, man, can't you just chill out? You're going on vacation, or you're going here, you're going there. There's no reason to argue with the TSA people. There's no reason to argue with the flight attendants, and definitely no reason to argue with passengers. You know, when I came here to St. Thomas the other day, I'd never been on a fully booked flight. This thing, every single seat was taken. I was just like, wow. Usually I get somebody next to me not there. Either one of the 2 seats is empty, so the person will take the aisle seat so that way we got some room between us. But I tell you, man, like, this was a fully booked flight, and I'd never been on one of those before. And I was just like, boy, these things just sit and zoom people all over the place. I tell you, out here.
Yeah, there's more and more of that.
Out here in the Caribbean, they got beautiful stars when you look up in the sky. How was it over there in Texas? Wow.
Gorgeous. Let's see here. It was probably in the high 80s today, like 89, 90, sunny, warm.
When you guys look
it's
up,
still light out, but it's also
when you guys look up, you got a
I see my ceiling. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where I am. Yeah, I live out in kind of a more of a remote area of where I live. But yeah, there's tons of beautiful stars where I can see. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I have to come out here to get it because in New York I see like 3 stars in the night sky. It's
buildings. You see buildings and smog. Yeah.
Smog.
Yeah. It's like every night. Every night if the stars are out, I see them. It's nice.
Hey, Wally, let me ask you this for the guys that are coming in. what would you recommend them to do if they were to wanted to get started in real estate?
It's funny. I was just on another podcast and asked me that question. If I was going to become a real estate agent today, I would go and, it's just the same thing I'm doing with you. I would go join an organization that had it all figured out, that everything in place, that could give me leads, that could give me training, that could give me support, that could point me in the direction where I needed to go, and then let me be able to ask them questions and do what I needed to do to become the best I can be, and do that for a couple of years. So many people are worried about not making enough money, but I made a lot of money working on the team. You know what I'm saying? And I was giving up half of what I made. But it's really the best way to do anything as far as I'm concerned. It's hard to learn. I mean, how long did it take you? How long did it take you to learn what you learned? It took you a while, right? I mean, it's not something that you can do in 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? You needed to talk to people, you need to learn from people, right?
I had to absorb the knowledge. I had to absorb knowledge from people as I can get my hands on it.
Right.
I had to learn through trial and error. I had to go through the struggle, because if you don't go through the struggle, then you're not going to be able to get to the other side. It's just a process. Mm-hmm. Everything within life and success is a process. Yes, there's like oddballs out where they grow and they're born into money. But a lot of those people that are born into money, they don't appreciate it the same. They don't. They're the ones that are depressed, in therapy, on drugs, because they don't know how to appreciate these things. Again, it goes back into the entitlement stuff. Like, you get a lot of people that came from nothing and climbed out of hell. They're going to appreciate that every blessing they get, because they're like, man, I know the other side. I've seen the other side. I've been on the other side. I don't want to go back there. Thank God for this day. Yep. Thank God for these opportunities.
Right.
And this is like, this is just, to me anyway, this is like, if I don't get up and work hard every day and hustle nonstop, then it can be taken away from me, because I'm not putting in that work that's required to maintain a successful life. I believe in working smart, not hard, but you still got to work day in and day out. I just work for myself and my family and building my empire, not building somebody else's empire, which is what I try to teach.
To your sure, yeah, and to your point, you're doing the same thing that I'm recommending, but in the MCA business, right? You've got this boot camp where people can come in and learn everything that that took you years and millions of dollars to learn, and you're shortcutting it for them, and that's what everybody should do, no matter where they start, right? Tony Robbins says modeling, right? He's talked about it in Personal Power, his first audio series. Go find somebody who's done what you want to do, learn from them. You'll make it happen faster, easier, and cheaper.
Absolutely, Wally. Absolutely. Hey, do you have any?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any advice for people that, again, are facing some really dire circumstances? Not so much. Let's not jump all the way to where they're thinking of taking their life, but they're thinking like it's all lost. Everything is gone, and what am I going to do? Nothing's working in life. Like, do you got any sound advice for them to kind of get themselves out of that rut?
Yep.
They may be in.
Yeah, I heard this the other day. Let rock bottom be your trampoline, right? We sometimes we look at other people and we like somebody looks at you, Wall Street Pete. You know what I'm saying? They see you in Forbes and they see all this other stuff. They see how well you're doing. You're sitting there in the Caribbean, right? They're looking at chapter 25.
Yeah,
they didn't see chapters like.
They don't know when I put tattoos on my body. Like, I was a different person. I wish I could take things off.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't see. Wall Street Pete before he was Wall Street Pete, chapters like 7 through 14.
They didn't see JR.
And so
that's what they called me back in the day.
What?
They didn't see JR. They see Peter.
JR.
Yeah, they didn't see JR.
Yeah, well, that's good. We want them to see Peter, but I think I call it getting radical. You got to get radical, right? I mean, you've got to be radically honest with yourself and say, okay, I'm here. I did what I needed to. I got here today. It may not have been my fault how I got here today, because I maybe had some shitty things happen in life that created some negative programming for me. but you've got to at least take a look at yourself and say, listen, here's where I am today. This is what's not working right now. And we've got to get radically honest with myself and say, you know what? This is not working. You just have to be willing to look in the mirror and say, this is not working. And then you've got to get radically transparent. You've got to look at people you love and care about and say, listen, I know I've not done a good job here. Okay. I'm being transparent about why I'm not doing a good job. You can be transparent with yourself and other people. And then you got to take radical responsibility for it. Okay. As long as you're taking in breath and you're vertical, you got a chance. So you've got to take radical responsibility, start working on the things that you need to work on to take care of that. And the best thing you could do is go back to the source of what created the problems for you to begin with and say, okay, what happened in my life when I was younger that sent me on a path? Was I sexually, emotionally, physically abused? Was I bullied? Did I start believing things about myself that were negative at a young age? Were my parents messed up or alcoholics or whatever it is? Go back there. Like that's where it started. And just look at it and say, okay, this is what started. I understand there was some negative influence. I know it set me on a path, but I know today, right now, that I'm no longer a victim, that I have to do what it takes to take care of it. And if I'm up against it, radical honesty, radical transparency, and radical responsibility. I'm taking radical responsibility are the three keys to turning that around.
You know what I tell everybody when I hire them, right? I say, guys, I don't care what you did yesterday. I don't care about your past. Use your past to build and cultivate relationships and bring value to the customers, your potential customers. Mm-hmm. I said, I care what you can do today and tomorrow moving forward. What I see was the best scene of any movie. Stuff. What I seen was the best scene of any movie was in A Bronx Tale when Sonny said, nobody cares. When he was talking about the guy owing him $20, should I crack his kneecaps? Sonny's like, he doesn't even know you that much. You just got him out of your life.
Let him go. Let him go.
He's not going to ask you for no more money. Like, nobody cares. And he was just like, he shaped that young boy in the movie. And you see a lot of like people in a generation have taken to that movie as well. And it was like, I just take one line from that movie and I say, that was one of the best lines because it's so true. Nobody cares. There's so many people that are living worried about what happened in high school or what their friends think or what does this one think, that it's like, man, at the end of the day, nobody's thinking about you. In the first place, nobody cares. People care what
we're not even the top 1,000 things people are thinking about. Yeah.
People got so much stuff on their mind, and you got all of these people that are worrying about what other people think about them. And it's like, I get it and I understand. I guess because I was a drug dealer, I have a cocky attitude that's really hard to get rid of. But I never really care what people think. I drive around in a G-Wagon because I'm getting a tax write-off. I don't put nice rims on. Don't get me wrong. I still drive around in a G-Wagon. I still pull up and next to people, and I know, listen, my car is a car that people wish they had, but I look at it
because
I would never have bought it if I didn't have a tax benefit to it. I just wouldn't. I'm not that kind of guy. I make sure that everything I do has a purpose that benefits me financially. I look at it like, hey, I got to pay these taxes anyway. Do I pay like half and drive a nice G-Wagon? Or do I pay the whole thing and just be a schmuck because I don't know any better? No, I'm going to buy a nice G-Wagon. I'm going to pay half the taxes, maybe a third less. And I'm going to drive around like, hey, I deserve this because it's a nice truck and, I do deserve it. I work very hard and I'm very successful. And these are the things that come along with it. But I don't do that just to say, hey, I do this. I do this because there was a strategic move behind this. I'm going to get to write off so and so much money that I just have no more write-offs. I have no more expenses because, in my business, you only have so many expenses. Once they're all gone, you have to eat that. So now it's like, okay, I buy a G-Wagon, buy an Escalade, on my way, grabbing a boat, real estate. And I'm always looking for the next way to just keep that money in-house. Even if I got to put it into something, it's put into an investment. So it's going to be turning more money on that money. One day I'll deal with the taxes, but just not right now because I just keep throwing it into the future. I just keep putting it into different places and deferring it. but that's the way you win because you get the compounding on the back end. Because if you were giving that money away today, I'd rather pay the IRS their rates and use and flip that money because it's cheap compared to the money that I give out to people. So for me, I'm like, IRS, you guys are the best. Like, you're giving out that's like bank money. You have to cut that.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So this is for people. I always tell them, like, if you owe the IRS, try and flip the money 2-3 times real quick before you send the check. That way, at least you got some back to work with. Just don't fuck it up. Don't mess up the package.
Just pay it. It's that whole thing. He says, "Hey, look at it this way. You only had to pay $20 to get him out of your life." Part of that is not only is it not caring what other people think, but it's also looking at everything in the most positive light you can. Right? What's good about this? Right? Yeah. What's good about this? How can we look at this in a positive way? Right? So that's all part of that too. Yeah, I thought that's a great stuff.
I tell you, Wally, man, it's always a pleasure with you around, bro.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me today.
Your energy, your attitude, bro. It's just it's just amazing because I wish that I can have 10,000 brokers that I talk to like you, that are motivated, that are ready to go, and that understand that, I got to put this work in. Nothing is free. Nothing comes easy. I got to really go in here and put this work in if I want to get any results out of it. And I just, if anything,
you'll
that
find
I can transfer over to you guys out here watching is that don't take nothing for granted. Nothing is promised to you and nothing is owed to you. You got to go out there and you got to take that stuff and you got to take it and put it in your pocket. So, again, guys, lose the entitlement, lose the, oh, poor me. Just keep pushing and just do something. Something is better than nothing. And I tell you like this, like I heard you say before, you may not make all of the money, but you're making you're making big projects. It's much better to be 10% of $10 million than 100% of $10,000. And I tell people,
or 100% of nothing, or 100% of nothing.
Oh, I mean, I don't like to say nothing because I like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. They'll be able to make something, but you're not going to be able to make anything close to what you can make with teamwork. I tell my kids, funny thing I tell my kids, all right, because I have twins. So I tell them all the time, I say, hey, guys, you're stronger together. Never let somebody tear you away from your brother. Never let a girl take you away from your brother. Never argue, let arguments go unsettled. Because if you take a bundle of twigs, right, a bundle of sticks, if you take one stick out, you can crack that without using your knee. You can just crack it in half. If you try to take 2 sticks, you might have to crack it over your knee. But if you take that whole bundle, you ain't breaking that thing. Strength is in numbers. And the fact that my kids are twins, they have each other as a best friend. So they don't have to, like they don't have to have like a lot of kids have that are from single homes where they're like, I don't have anybody else. I have to reach out to somebody. I tell them they have like a superpower because they don't have to worry about having another friend. They can count on each other. They always have somebody that always has their best interests at heart. And I have a brother who's younger than me, so when I was growing up, I'm the older brother. I have another brother, a half brother that came in when I was like 13 from my father and his new wife. And, I've always been the big brother, just pushing through, trying to find a way because, again, my father wasn't around to teach me anything. And even if he is, he learned a certain way of thinking in life, and he's carried that with him. Right. Aside from all of the bad, poor decisions he's made, I was kind of left out here flopping in the wind, like a fish out of water. I didn't know which way to turn. I didn't know where to go. I wound up in the streets because I was like, there is no other opportunities for me other than going to work a regular job, which I wasn't willing to do. Right. And then when I came across this MCA stuff, it was just like life-changing, literally like 5-6 years ago, life-changing. I'm not going to say, listen, I made millions of dollars as a drug dealer, but it was money that comes and goes, money that you're always looking over your shoulder. know you're going to pay the piper at one point in time in life. And that to me was just like, there's got to be a better way. And when I came across this MCA, it was like everything that I ever dreamed of hit me in like a ton of bricks, but I knew how to run with it. It's like a fumble. You're on the football field and you're not expecting the ball. You're just a lineman, or you're a blocker, or you're a back, and the ball fumbles.
Right on.
And you grab it and you just know, you strike, you just take off to the end zone. Nobody's waiting, nobody's catching you. You're gone. You're determined on a mission. That's how it was when I caught the MCA. I mean, when I seen this stuff, it was like my eyes lit up, like jackpot, jackpot, jackpot. This is legal. I don't need to do anything else. I'm just gonna sit right here for a while. And now I've gotten so good at it that I'm like, so there's so many other people like you, Wally, that don't know that this exists. That's like, no, if that existed, man, I would definitely have that as one of my income streams. Might not want to go as hard as I do, but you definitely want to have a couple of customers every month, funding deals so you could put some, some serious pocket money away. And this is kind of where I come in with it. It's like, Wally, you're definitely one on my tribe. You joined the tribe, and I'm very proud and happy to have you along.
I'm proud to be here. I'm super proud to be here.
And just the whole vibe of you, brother, the whole way you move, your energy is like, bro, I wish I had 10,000 more like you, bro, on my team that were on my course.
I'm grateful to be in your life, and I'm grateful you had me on today. Thank you.
All right, Wally. So listen, where can everybody find you at, brother? Where they want to go look for you if they want to purchase your book? Where can they purchase it at?
Yep. Yeah, so they can purchase my book at Amazon.com, Trigger Sales Secret. Tragic Hero, right? Picking up the pieces. The name of my company is Trigger Sales System. You go to triggersalessystem.com, and you can go actually, and to thank everybody when I'm a guest on a podcast, anybody who's watching this can get a free half hour on my calendar with me. If you go to my website, triggersalessystem.com, you can press the grab 30 minutes button, no cost. I'm not going to try and sell you anything. We can hop on the phone, and if there's something keeping you from getting where you want to be, or you want to learn how to get better on the phone, or I can analyze what's going on and give you some tips right then and there. Go ahead and grab 30 minutes of my calendar. I'd love to talk to you.
All right, great. Guys, you heard it there first. My boy, thanks, Wally. Man. Wally, it's been a pleasure. I would love to get you in New York, so we can have you on the Dragon's Lair in office, on site.
I'd love to do that, man.
We want to get you and your wife out there. Me and my wife will take you out to dinner. I would love to have you. You're always welcome. Anytime after Monday, I'm available for you, brother. All right?
Anytime after next Monday, come on out.
That's it.
Awesome. Enjoy the rest of your trip, brother.
I'm in the Caribbean until then. But everybody, I'm checking out the last podcast from St. Thomas. Guys, my man Wally Bressler, I'm so lucky to have you on. It was a pleasure. Everybody,
likewise, thank you.
Follow my man Wally Bressler and go buy his book, man. You gotta see it. The guy's a brilliant guy. All right.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks.